Hello, my name is Jeremiah Rendon, and today I'll be presenting a PowerPoint on having a home emergency plan. In this slide, we'll have a short video to watch real quick.
Basic emergency management plan for every emergency place.
And to have an overview of importance on the home emergency plan, we see disasters, whether they be man-made or natural, happen daily throughout the world. We have the creek fires that happened not too long ago here in the Central Valley, COVID-19, of course, and recently the Ukrainian conflict, and all those disasters. We see how many people are displaced from their homes and from where they work and live at. Having a plan is also going to help grow skills that you may have not learned otherwise. And it's also, if you're into collecting gear and new tools, it's also another good hobby to pick up as well, as there's plenty of places to go through for new tools and for new gear. And in this slide, we have some graphs. In the pie chart, we see an individual first aid, and it's just giving an overview of some contents that would be found in it. It's going to be emergency medical supplies, and this item is really going to be used for emergency situations for immediate relief until you can reach further help. And this is going to be an item that should be carried with you, kept in a purse, kept in a bag, or kept in your car, and they're just medical supplies that are ready to use. In the other graph, we see the number of deaths from disasters, and this is just based out of the United States, and you can see the impact of how disasters have the ultimate effect on people. And the home emergency plans. So the plan should cover an emergency plan on what to do during a disaster. In the plan, you should have locations discussed and detailed as to where you'll be going, where you'll be staying at, and then it should also go over a number of situations. Since you can't really plan for one situation, it should be able to apply to many. And then those who are involved, the plan should, anyone who's involved, even though you are the main one making the plan, should be involved in the plan still. From your kids all the way up to if you have older elderly people living with you. Everyone who's in the household or within the plan should be involved. And within the plan, you should have you should take in special considerations. Every person and every situation is going to be different, and everyone's plan and the way it's developed will be different as well. It's easy to overlook some things we take for granted in our day-to-day. From the elderly and their medications, do we have enough of those for a long-term issue, all the way to the young and babies, where do you have enough formula, wipes, diapers? All these things are easy to be looked over within your emergency plan, and this is why it's important to really do a deep dive and have everyone who's involved be part of your plan. Another one is pets. Do we have a plan for pets? A lot of us love our family pet, and it's going to be a very hard thing to decide if we're not ready with our plan to involve our pets in. And the medical aspect. So in the emergency plan, you should obviously have some medical supplies. We already went over medications. We have enough of that. A good rule of thumb is to always have a 7-day supply. And then as far as emergency medical supplies, that individual first aid kit is only going to last you for so long. You want to be able to refill those medical supplies as you use them. You should also have a little bit more extensive inventory of medical supplies within your home that is ready for use. Do you have storage for them? Some medications require to be refrigerated. Are they properly stored? Are the supplies easily accessible? Or are they just thrown into a container? Um, and then, as far as training, do we have training with these supplies and with these gear? If not, then the supplies are not of use to us anymore. And communicating, you should have some way of having initial contact um, from the outside world. Um, Most of us have TVs and our radios within our cars, but it's not a bad thing to have an emergency radio, like a wind-up radio, where you crank it and it's able to keep a charge. We have to have some way of contacting the outside. Most we think our cell phones are good, but if those crash, we're going to be really lost. That goes into having a backup. Do we have a backup plan for communicating when these things go down? Do we have like a satellite phone? Do we have walkie-talkies? Not everything needs to have this broad range of contact. Um, Having radios within your party would make the difference as well. And then knowledge on how to contact. If we don't have the necessary um, first means of contacting, do we know how to continue going about different ways of contacting? And being able to spot the signs and warnings, that goes back to having a current knowledge of world events. Of course, any disaster really is not going to be able to be predicted. But if you have a current working knowledge of what's going on around your area where you live at, and then around the world, you should be able to recognize some warnings and signs. And then is that established amongst others? Do others know what the warnings and signs are that will activate the plan? Um, and these should be things that will be talked about within your party. And even having all the supplies at home, we also still have to think about staying mobile. Um, you should have enough supplies to go out and be mobile for at least 3 days and to be able to make it back. That's going to and back. And you have the required resources to be able to stay viable out when you're out. The main plan is to stay at home since that's your main defense. But you have to take in consideration your supplies will eventually run out. And lastly, practicing. This is what's really going to make the difference in how effective your plan is and how well it works. Again, making sure those involved within all those within your party are involved. And then the frequency of which you practice is really going to make the difference in how well your plan works. And how well it's carried out and how well everyone understands the plans. And then, of course, practice for different situations. Don't just practice for one disaster. Practice in different situations. Practice from starting at a school and making it home. So practice having different types of disasters. All of this is going to make the difference once the time to actually enact the plan comes around. This was my presentation. Hope you stay safe and have a good day. Thank you.